like when you're in the mountains and you're in Colorado, you got to be prepared.
Red stripe.
Bring me when the day show me how the sun shines. Tell me about your heartache. Who could be so unkind? Do you dream to touch me? Smile way down deep inside. Or could you just kill me, baby? Talk, make up your mind sometime. My angel, my devil, and the thorn in my pride. My angel and the devil, baby, thorn in my pride. Yeah. Yes, it is.
Good morning, my brethrens and empresses. Street-walking cheetah with a ruffled lip on the runaway son of the nuclear bomb. I am the world forgotten boy, the one who's searching and destroying. Somebody better help me, please. Somebody better save my soul. Maybe ignite me. Look out, mama, 'cause I'm using technology. Ain't got time to make no apology. A revolution in the dead of night. Love in the middle of a firefight. Somebody better help me, please. Somebody better save my soul. Baby, please ignite me. Somebody better help me, please. Somebody better save my soul. Come on, baby, ignite me. Look out, mama, 'cause I'm using technology. I am the world forgotten boy. I am the world forgotten boy. The one that's searching to destroy. I'm only searching to destroy. Yeah. Oh, darling, I'm hot today. You got that incarcerated? Oh, it is good to see you. Internet. They say a picture paints 1,000 words. But if half of them are Iggy Pop, how many words is that picture actually painting? My baby mother been incarcerated. Otherwise she would have been in today to testify that every word I stated, while it may be complicated, it's the true in a way. You see this woman here today, I hardly even know her. Okay, maybe once or twice I might have give her a lift, but she never gave me any money around her. Every penny that she gave me, she said it was a gift. She said that it was a gift. She said it was a gift. My baby mother been incarcerated. She had some trouble with an interstate cop. He said he saw her driving by obliterated and was further frustrated by the way she wouldn't stop. So they called out all the other cops. Had a high-speed chase. They chased my baby through the side of a tree. That's when I think they might have planted marijuana in a suitcase. Court-appointed lawyer told the cop to plea, so we copped to plea. Hey, we copped to plea. My baby mother been incarcerated. I never had a lot of luck with the ladies, Your Honor. I never had a lot of luck with much of anything. My baby mother wanna drive a Mercedes, Your Honor. My baby mother wanna wear a bunch of diamond rings. She know damn well I can't afford them things. Oh. brother been incarcerated. I'm kinda glad if I could tell you the truth, but I don't have a whole lot here to do with this matter. You see, this woman here today, she just don't have any proof. I don't know whose voice that could be there on her telephone recorder. Maybe brother or some other friend that's in on it too. Same old Kim that came to help but chain my signature, because that is not my signature. I'm telling you the truth, I'm telling you the truth. Oh, I'm telling you the truth, almost had it. Understand about the verdict and everything, Your Honor, you're just doing your job. That's all right with me. Just one more thing before I leave. For my friends and my family, could you tell me when this particular episode is going to be on TV? I'm gonna be on TV, baby. Nobody suffers like poor people suffer. Nobody suffers like poor people suffer. Nobody suffers like poor people suffer. Nobody suffers like the poor people suffer, baby. Oh, yeah, man. Feeling good. Feeling good. Oh, Charles Bukowski at the end there. I'm feeling good, though. Got a couple friends here this morning. Got my football jersey going. I started off this song. I came up with this beat. No one had ever heard it before. And I remember something Ken Finlay told me. He said, Will Rogers never met a man that he didn't like. I said, wait, let me back up and make sure that I got that right. He might have liked every man he ever met, that's true. But he never said he liked every man that he knew. Oh, 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 oh. I met a woman with the Midas touch. I never got her to touch very much. I met a man of opportunity. He never offered any of it up to me. I met a man in a recruit booth. He said he'd make a man out of me and stole my youth. I'm working for a man who could not stop lying. Drove us off a cliff and called it flying. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. That ain't flying. That ain't flying. That ain't flying. That ain't flying. When a wise man flies, he understands that a man hasn't technically flown until he lands. If you're coming in the land and you crash and die, well, all you really did was you will get too high. You ever get too high? Well, neither have I. But I will if I have to prove to you guys. So turned around, I could calm up a riot, fighting for peace and like screaming for quiet. Oh, 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 oh. I don't know, but I've been told you might meet a little fox in your atheist toe. Well, I don't know who, but I've been told. Well, I don't know, but I've been told. I said I don't know, but I've been told. I don't know for sure. Somebody told me. I don't know for sure. Somebody told me. Ha! Talk about jamming, huh? Take that, Fred Whitmer. Seamus Bacon in the house again today. The mighty famous Seamus. I should clear up that story from the book officially. There's this story in there where he comes out. I'm in trouble with Buffett, man, and Seamus tells me he's crying and I gotta go back in. Well, he wasn't crying, he just said he was. And then in the rest of the book, I kind of say that he cries all the time, and the reason is, that was like an inside joke. That guy doesn't get rattled. Maybe over like funerals and stuff at the house, but there's not something that's gonna happen on the road that's gonna scare Seamus. You can't talk to me like that, boss. I don't care who you are. If you don't wanna have to hang your own drywall, don't push me too far. Boomtown work ain't that hard to come by. Boomtown workers are. You might be the one that running the show, but that doesn't mean you're in charge. I was looking for a job when I found this one. I don't need this work like you need this work done. You looking like you're under pressure. I was looking for a job when I met you. I was sharing with two guys over at the Motel 6, boss. I send every dime I make here home back to an ex-wife. I just did 2 years and 28 days with a little bit of aim, though I might have been in there for my whole life. So you see, broke ain't gonna take me a whole lot of getting used to, boss. Neither will no barbed wire jailhouse wall. Watch what you say to someone with nothing. It's almost like having it all. Looking for a job when I found this one. I don't need this work like you need this work done. You looking like you're under pressure. I was looking for a job when I met you 2 weeks ago, boss. Don't you remember? No. Looking for a job when I found this one. I don't need this work like you need this work done. You looking like you're under pressure. I was looking for a job when I met you. You know what that was making me think? Doug Lancia, there's this guy we've been just talking about outside that we've both known since the 90s. I don't know if he played on that song. And then when we did that song on Jay Leno, he was there. And then also the song before it, it's called Mission Accomplished. And he was the producer of that song. I remember I was bothered by that song because I knew that that George Michael had come up with that beat, and I didn't want to take it, you know. You gotta have faith. No, really, I did. I thought, man, it was kind of a Bo Diddley thing, and if you listen to the beginning, it really sounds like the George Michael thing. But a couple of my friends, Doug included, were like, "Don't fuck this up." I kept trying to make up new music for that. Then I said, "Don't." They said, "Don't fuck it up," so I didn't. That was a good memory. And then later, I got to meet the singer from Fish because of that song. What a cool cat that guy is, too. That whole band's a cool bunch of dudes. This song, I'll tell you what, if you just quiet down for just a second, just give me a minute, I'll have some I want to say, you know, very serious about the political climate right now. Just, where did I have that? I wrote it down. No, I'm kidding you. I don't have anything fucking heavy to say. I watch the news and just try to make it rhyme sometimes. That's it. I don't have kids, so why should I give a fuck what happens? Outside of being a gambling man, you know. Conservative Christian, right-wing Republican, straight white American males, gay bashing, black fearing, war fighting, tree killing, regional leaders of sales, shirt tugging, frat housing, kick tapping, backslapping, hater of old hippies like me. Tree hugging, peace loving, pot smoking, porn watching, lazy ass hippies like me. Tree hugging, peace loving, pro choice in gay wedding, widespread panic digging hippies like me. Skin color blinded, conspiracy minded, protesting that corporate greed. We who have nothing and most likely will until we all end up locked up in jail by conservative Christian, right-wing Republican, straight white American male. Diamonds they know, boys and girls living together in two separate worlds. Following leaders of mountains of shame, we're looking for someone to blame. Well, I know who I like to blame. Conservative Christian, right-wing Republican, straight white American male, gay bashing, black fearing, war fighting, tree killing, personal friends to the quails. Remember that guy? Quite diligently working so hard to keep the free reins of this democracy. From tree hugging, peace loving, pot smoking, porn watching, lazy ass hippies like me. Tree hugging, peace loving, pot smoking, porn watching, lazy ass hippies like me. Oh, tree hugging, peace loving, pot smoking, soft porn, romantic comedy watching, lazy ass, barefoot jam band singing, hippies like me. There's always room for a tonight at the end of everything, I think. That's the way I see it. I got this football shirt that's really happening for me, too. I keep noticing. I played football at one juncture in my illustrious career. It is, if you've never played football before, you and 47 other children will be running into and away from each other, all in relation to the movement of blow, while consistently being yelled at by adults. I used to tell that story all the time about how the adults would make you play football for the district. Hot damn. When I was a kid, we had a fucking guy, though, Anthony Newman. Look him up. No joke. We had some serious fucking football cats, but this kid, I met him when I was 9. And man, he was like a lot of musicians I know now about football. And then we got older and we'd have to play, you'd have to practice, and that kid would be bummed when practice ended, man. And then if you look him up, he played in he played for the Rams, I think, for fucking ever. Married a cheerleader, lives in Portland, sent his kid to Central Catholic. And that's where our story ends, Newman. How could you do that? How could that happen? All right, listen. Let's see, what else? Y'all remember when I was on the Amish show and I don't know what happened. I went in there and I got, they put makeup on me. I said hi to Don. I was sitting at the big table. It's like a fireworks show that, you know how those tables have lights on them? And something felt, what? I just didn't feel right about it, man. Something felt off. So, I don't know. So they said, we'll be right back with Todd Snider. And I was going like this. And then right after that, they went to a commercial, and I just changed my mind. I said, Don, man, I changed my mind. Huh. That was a show, like, that's all they talk about is politics on that show. Nowhere to go, no one to call, nothing to do except for nothing at all. It's just the same old climb of the same old wall that I've been falling down before. I've been down, I've been a little bit depressed, yes, okay, well, I've been overworked and I feel overstressed, but deep in my heart, Lord, I ain't gonna stress, I ain't gonna cry no more. I ain't gonna cry, I ain't gonna scream, I ain't letting nobody kick no hole in my dreams yet. I ain't gonna be falling apart at the same like I've always done before. I've used my fists, I've used my voice, I use myself like a cheap Rolls Royce. I never knew that I could just use my choice. I ain't gonna cry no more, except for sometimes. You see people talk behind people's backs. They scheme and they plot and they plan attacks. Someday soon they gonna be switching tracks in a way that this world can't ignore. No. So call up all of your buddies, call up all of your friends, call up all your enemies and make amends. I'm gonna throw a big old party and I'll let anybody in. And I ain't gonna cry no more. I said I ain't gonna cry. I ain't gonna cry. I ain't gonna cry no more. No. I'm gonna party letting everybody in. I ain't gonna cry no more. I keep getting the Peter Brady's today. I've got two of them. When it's time to change, you've got to rearrange. I've had two. Oh, man, I could carry that pigskin still. Look at me. What do they have to do with that? They couldn't think of a better way to give the ball to the guy? They're all homophobic, and they have this one way to make the ball go to the other guy. And the outfits. My God, the outfits. That was the thing that threw me. The outfits and the pep talks, tough. You know, outfits and pep talks are tough. You know that country song? I think I've played this on the show. Tell me, this is my best song. Tell me where can a cowboy get a salad? That's all you need for that one. You know, I'm easing you in to the bad news. Last night, we all knew we were gonna lose everybody sometime, but a really close friend of mine, and they call him Barefoot Kenny, who I met a little over a decade ago through Chad Staley and Rory Carroll and Vince Herman. He lived in this town called Nederland, Colorado, above Boulder. And if you read, there's an article in Rolling Stone about Nederland. They call it the hippie capital of the world. And I would go there and visit Vinny, and they had you could see his house from the deck of this bar him and I would sit at. And when the bar would close, right around midnight, you could just see people go into his house. You could look down and see the whole town. There's about 350 people in this town, right? How many you think in Ned? Is that a gross underestimation? It feels like there's a high school full of hippies with their own little fort-like town, you know, and had a lot of impromptu parades and crap there. A lot of fun, very wavy gravy. And the de facto leader for my dough was Barefoot Kenny. He never wore shoes ever in Colorado. When I met him, he was barefoot and it was snowing. He would put this weird oil on, and then he had to go to court, and they were trying to make him wear shoes, and this town stood up for him, and it was in the paper, and then they had a parade after for old Barefoot, and then, he, you know, he was just one of those guys. I remember really close after meeting him, he was somebody that could, you know, he takes a close friend that if you're sitting around with him before the gig, you know, right away he was a person that I could sit with right before the show. And it was always soothing. Anyway, he's going to be missed by so many, so many. What a character. Let me try this song. And also, when the Great American Taxi and I were in the studio, we were doing a song that Jerry Jeff Walker had written called Is This My Free One-Way Bus Ticket to Cleveland? And there is a point in there where they reference a friend of Jerry Jeff's, and it was somebody that I didn't know. And so we were like, who should I say? And Chad said, say Barefoot Kenny. And I said it, and I remember that he loved that, man. And he got a really fast-moving cancer, man, and it took him almost as quick as he found out about it. But so I'll sing this for him, even though it's not a sad song. This is a real song Jerry Jeff did on a record that's called just Jerry Jeff Walker. You can't get it except for on the YouTube. It's got like a tan cover with him in a cowboy hat. That's my favorite one. If you can check that out. And I think this is the last song. I guess it all started the day my brand new car wouldn't. So I took it to this dealer to recommend it as a good one. He told me $400 would fix it. I asked him about the guarantee. He just smiled and he told me, Slim, that ran out last week. I've been taking again. I've been taking again. Like singing the blues, hey, you snooze and you lose, you be taking again. We drove to this bar outside Colorado Springs. We're gonna drink a case of cold Coors. Hear old Vince Herman sing basketball. They had this antlered rabbit on the wall with spiked horns and ears a foot tall. A barefoot Kenny told me it was a Colorado jackalope. I've been taking again. I've been taking again. It's like you're singing the blues. Hey, you snooze and you lose, and you'll be taking again. Let's see. Well, I took home this old nymphomaniac, but I could not get her. This is maybe a little tone deaf. I'm on her, you know. She said there was something in my eyes that made her realize that she could never do that lustful thing again. I've been taking I'll be taken again. It's like singing the blues. If you snooze and you lose, you'll be taken again. People buy the records. They think we're working so hard. We're out in the studio, and it's 5 o'clock. They're waiting on every word, hanging on the very next verse, hoping things are getting better from here, but they're only getting worse. You gotten taken again. You'll be taken again. It's like singing the blues. If you snooze and you lose, you'll be taken again. You know, Jerry Jeff spent a ton of time in Colorado, where Hunter Thompson lived. That's a beautiful, beautiful up there. I was thinking. I'm just figuring this out. This is another Jerry Jeff song, and if this song is about Barefoot Kenny, for real, and if you know him, you'll know I'm right. He was the kind of pet old mind when he would bump into. He was the kind of let you find out how he knew. He never got uptight, never started a fight, he never threw so much as a dart. He was a man at my own home. He loved people, people loved him, little children loved him the best. When there wasn't anything unfilled, the feeling rest. Well, living on his time, some people cry like a fool. I said, don't die. He was a man at my old home, and I loved him too. Oh, you know that I love him. He said he knew of a place to go. He went there. The only blues that he left for us, he left everywhere. He said, you know that the laughing hole, it ain't there just for the kids in the bed. He was a man at my own home, and I love him, and I love him too. Oh, you know that I love him. Go get him, Peter. He was the kind that paid no mind when he was bumped into. He was the kind that let you find out all he knew. He never got him tight, he never started a fight, he never threw so much as a dart. He was a man at my own home. He was a man at my own home. We're gonna miss you, Barefoot. He's a young man. He was a young man. Hondo was pretty young when he went too. Hondo Crouch, look him up. And when they say in that song, he says, you know that the laughing hole ain't there for the kids and the bears. Anytime Hondo found what would be a swimming hole in a little creek or a tree that was by itself, he called them it would be a laughing hole or a laughing tree. That was a Texas thing. So if you got one tree in your yard, you're supposed to sit right on the dog piss, right underneath it, and laugh a bunch. Let me see, I have this other one I want to do now. Making me think of some Jerry Jeff. Why not? Why not? Why not tonight? shit. We probably should have had the practice before. But there's a song Jerry Jeff has always done. It's on a, I don't know what, I didn't plan on, I've aborted the plan. But I'll probably fuck this up. But I've always loved this song, and I love it more the older I get. He says, oh, check this out, too. On this record, it's called Too Old to Change. And he told me that at this time, he'd gotten these polyester suits so he wouldn't have to change or wash or anything. He could just go, sleep in it, party in it. And he always had these Cadillacs. And Susan had kicked him out. He was at a real low. And he was down in Florida to make a record. And he was sleeping in his car. I think he had just been dropped by one and picked up by another. He was in a kind of a negative place, I guess. Or maybe not even because of that. But if you get that record, he's got a little blue neckerchief on, and then you listen to the very first song, turn it way up before he told me, he said he went down there to play with these guys, with this producer and this band, and immediately he had a bad feeling about him, and they were all too serious and trying to make him, I don't know, they didn't win if you listen to the record, but if you turn it up, you hear it comes on, you hear him go, and then he'll say, there was a lot of things I was going to say. And then he says, this is the last time I'll ever play here. And then, I don't know if the band heard it. You got to put on headphones to hear it, but that's a pretty bummer of a way to get the record going. What would to have been a fly on the wall for me. I wonder what kind of headspace he was in at that time. Right after he made that record, he drove home, changed his life. That's true. He said he started exercising. I said, what'd you do? He said, I started going to get the mail every day. And it went on from there. But he had this song he sang on that record, and I could tell he meant it, and he was singing it to his wife. He said, I go and grave around the temples, here's the days when I don't shave. I have a habit of tripping over ripples and watching them roll into waves. I've been too long riding this rain, running wild without rain. Always traveling against the grain. A pretty girl deserves better, but I'm too old to change. Better go on, grow graceful, as graceful as push-ups, so get you. Oh, sometimes I look over my shoulder and I smile at what they said about me. You betcha. I've been too long riding that rain, run wild without rain. Always traveling against the grain. A pretty girl deserves better. I'm too old to change. Travel very far, I've traveled very far. Without rain. Hungry around the temples, here's a day when I don't shave. I have a habit of tripping over ripples and watching them rolling away. I've been too long riding that rain, running wild without rain. Always traveling against the grain. A pretty girl deserves better, but I'm too old to change. was fun. And I'll tell you, this, I'm just going to confess, like, I don't know that song, and I've played it, but if you watch that back, every once in a while, if you see an acoustic guy, he won't know what he's doing. You go see Jerry Jeff sometimes, he'll forget. Or Prine, you just saw. I never really got that. I was just trying to find chords. I kind of coasted through. I got through that. Did that feel? That felt like I was just doing a circle of those. It's just that Pachelbel's canon, man. That's what a lot of. When I find myself in times. You know what else? I'll tell you this. You know what? We're on this Jerry Jeff thing, and I've told this story a million times. I don't think I've told it here, though. My Mount Rushmore, I would never desecrate a side of a mountain, but if I did, I would put Billy Joe Shaver, John Prine, Jerry Jeff Walker, and Chris Christopherson. That's my 4 main guys. I know all their songs, and I could play in any of those bands, you know, like tonight. I've played in Billy Joe Shaver's band with no practice ever, you know, those are my favorite songs. And Jerry Jeff was my main favorite, I think, because his name's not really Jerry Jeff Walker. He came up with himself. Then he decided he was from Texas. Then he declared himself back. Just the audacity. His Hunter Thompsons, they were just inseparable. And Jimmy Buffett, those 3 in the 70s, they ran amok. They ran amok and caught it, you know. And I looked up to him not just for those songs, but for this free-spirited way that he was living. Well, I remember I learned all his songs, and I followed him around. I learned to play the guitar, watching him play alone like this. I remember, thinking, when I first saw him, that, like, this Bojangles song that I'll play you now is kind of complicated, but a lot of his songs are really simple. He uses this thing. I just thought, fuck, I could do that, you know? And also, I remember thinking that at the time I was like a freeloader and a hitchhiker and that whatnot, and it just seemed like if you had a guitar, you could be so much better at that. Who doesn't want you at your campfire? All that. I've said that before, but you get around, know a few songs, you know? And that seemed to be what Jerry Jeff was doing. So, anyway, to make a short story long, I followed him around Texas forever, and then when I moved to Memphis, I was singing around there, and I called the venue to get tickets, and they said that I could open his show, and I knew that I was going to meet him, and I had been planning or wanting to meet him since I'd been 19. I'd written him letters and stuff, waited in the line, but when the line came, I wouldn't have the nerve to do my speech and all that. And then with the New Daisy Theater, Seamus was there. Chris Wall played too, and I got to open for him. And after I went in the dressing room, and there he was. I was like, he has to meet me tonight, you know. And I had this speech planned where I was going to tell him this was the greatest night of my life, or the highlight of my life. And but when I got in the dressing room, well, I guess you've heard this a million times, but you've heard it too, but fuck it, you know. Tell your friend to listen to this song. I come into the dressing room, and there's this drunk chick yelling at him, but she's saying nice stuff. It was very confusing. I was new at singing, and then I realized that she'd snuck back there, so he was kind of afraid of her, but also the demeanor, it was like, you son of a bitch, but it was like, we love you. And I remember as soon as she saw me, she said, oh, you sang too, sign my poster. And then she said, Jerry Jeff, turn around. It all happened like this. He turns around, she sticks her poster on his back and gives me the pen, says, sign it. And I remember in all the times that I had imagined the scenario where I was going to meet Jerry Jeff, this drunk bitch from Memphis was not in any of them, the scenarios. And here she's like dominating it. And I'm panicked, and I have my speech canned up, and I say, this is the highlight of my life. And without a beat, Jerry Jeff says, boring life so far, boring life. And then we went after, remember we went to Alex's with with Steady Freddie Kirch and Bob, Cosmic Bob Livingston, and Inman, I remember hoping that he'd forget that. And then years later, we had a record, and I told my manager if I could ever play a festival with Jerry Jeff, I wanted to meet him. He was a king to me. And so we got the Labor Festival. You remember that too, right? Seamus. I should tell him that story we were doing earlier too. But we went there, all these great bands. They chanted Robert Earl Keen all day. But man, what a great day. And I remember that day, I ran up to Jerry Jeff and I said, "You're my king." And I hugged him. And he looked at me like I was that chick at first, and then he realized I was singing too. And I told him I knew everything about him, and we hit it off pretty quickly. And we started doing these trivia contests about him where I would kill him. And then as the years went by, I'd be on the road, and he'd call me to get lyrics for his songs, which was like the first time that happened. That made me so, it was the first Showboat song. And anyway, I love him. He watches these sometimes. He still thinks this thing's a boat oar. But anyway, I forget where I was. Man, him and I started to be friends, and he started really mentoring me and taking me a lot of different places. And one time he said he wanted to, he was going to take me snorkeling to see this coral reef. He planned this thing for 3 months. But then when I jump out of the boat, it's all sharks and stingrays and shit. And he's laughing his fucking ass off. There was no coral reef or anything like that. It was a ruse, as they say, that he thought was going to be funny. And I was so fucking scared, and I was like, "There's sharks everywhere." And he said, "Swim at them, they're like ducks." And I was like, "They're not. They're not. Look at them." But I swam at them, and they scattered like a duck in a park, if you walk through a bunch of geese. So they just went away. And then I never forgave him for that. To this minute. To make a short story long, that's the theme of this one. A few years later, you were there at this too. Melito was there. Mara was there too. Mara was watching at home with her kids. Jerry Jeff showed up with Susan at our show in New Orleans and took over the band for a few songs, and it was epic. And at that time, I had a tackle box, a fishing tackle box that I kept all my drugs in. Some of my drugs were like mine that I cared about. I'd get them at home and bring them. But also on the road, people give them to you. That's a big part of the after-show handshake, And I don't like all drugs, but I never know who I'm going to run into. I can't do them all at the same time, so hence this tackle box. And Jerry Jeff knew about that box, and every time he'd come in the dressing room, he'd be like, "Where's that box, boy?" And on this night in New Orleans, somebody had just given me a bunch of cocaine, which is not and hasn't been and isn't my generation's drug. We're potheads, man. Right? Their generation just fucking, they used to call him Mr. Blowjangles or Jiffy Jack Snowdrift. And he'd carry it in a cup like this. Oh, yeah. And he wouldn't sleep for ages. The stories about that guy, the documentary I'm going to make someday. Anyway, he sees that in the box. He says, "Oh, we used to roar down here on that in the 70s. And just immediately we all turned into shit friends. Elvis was there. And we were like, "Let's do it." So we went over to his house. He's got houses everywhere because he wrote Bojangles. And we did it, and I had what you'd call a minor seizure because that's the dark part of the story. So they showered me and put me in the shower, and then, hand to God, this happened. I'm on a bed. I wake up in the middle of the night on a bed. I don't know where I am. I don't remember anything. Trying to think where the band is, and I hear footsteps in my room that I'm in, and I think, "Oh, no, I'm not alone in here," And then I hear Jerry Jeff Walker's voice say, "Never again, you little fucker. Never, ever again," And then I thought, okay, I don't want to wake up, so I just pretended I was asleep. And then he kicked the sofa, and he said, "You hear me, motherfucker?" I said, "Never again." And so I had to open my eyes, and Jiffy Jack Snowdrift was naked and at sofa level. See where I'm going with this? And I'm not going to describe it, but I'll tell you this. It's not like I had an issue with cocaine to begin with, but if I get offered it now, I picture his balls. And that's my one-step cocaine program, life-saving program. Now, okay, I'm going to finish this because I'm going to play this song. And people ask me all the time, do you have a favorite story you tell? Sometimes they ask if I have a favorite song I tell. But this one I'm telling you now is my favorite. And the reason is because at this part, this was been about a decade ago. But him and I have had a ton of adventures. And he did remember the first, when he told me my life was boring. And he has the most adventurous life I've ever been around. And he has a plane that he travels around in. And he asked me if I wanted to go with him to Santa Fe, not to play, just to hang out, because there's all these great bars. We were going to carouse around, you know. I don't think that means anything sexual. We're just stumbling around, looking for stories to tell and telling them, you know. And went to every bar in there, and then, as God is my witness, this happened to me. It was about 3 a.m. The bartender says, we have to ask you guys to go. And so him and I, it's a weeknight, and we get out on the street, and we start walking back to our hotel. And, man, if I'm lying, strike me dead. We hear in the distance, now that's, if you don't know, that's he wrote Mr. Bojangles, you know. Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Sammy Davis Jr., Whitney Houston. My favorite version is his. My favorite version of his on a record called 5 Years Gone, the last one. It's the first time the world ever heard it on WFUV. And I look at him and I go, "You hear that?" He says, "God, yeah, I do, you know." So we start walking, and it's in the direction we're going anyway. So we keep going up the street, and it gets louder, and we turn the corner, and there's a blues bar down there in Santa Fe. If you live there, you know the one I'm talking about. You take a right out to get out of the square, head back, and there's this little blues bar, and it's 3 a.m. There's no cars on the street. There's nothing on the street. None of the lights are on. It's shut down. No bars open. There's nothing. There's no chance of anybody walking by to tip this guy. He still has a hat on the ground anyway, but really, if there was ever a case of a guy singing for all the right reasons to the moon, and this was it. This was a person singing for the sake of the song, as Van Zandt said. And I could tell Jerry Jeff was really moved by it, and I was too. And we went over and stood in front of him, and I kept thinking I was going to tell him when it was over, this guy's going to blow this guy's mind. But then I thought, don't let this be, this isn't your thing. I still think it's cosmic proof that I'm his main fan, But I was wondering what he was going to do. And when the song got over, he looked at this guy, drunk as shit, this guy. I guess we were too. He said, "It's like a pretty good song, huh?" And that guy goes, "Yeah, I love that song." And Jerry just says, "Me too." And he took everything he had in his pockets and he put it in that guy's hat. Threw his hotel key in there. I think it might have been rental car keys. And as we were walking away, I said, that really might have been one of the that was a highlight of my life right there. And he said, yeah, me too. Well, I encourage you to listen to his music. It'll set you free. Jerry Jeff, if you are watching, I love you so much. Every troubadour in the country owes you something. A new man, Bojangles in, he danced for you. A worn out shoe. silver hair, a ragged shirt, a baggy pants, dirty old soft shoe. They jumped up so high, Lord, they jumped up high, and then they lightly touched down. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, oh, Mr. Bojangles, you come on down. I met a man that sold in New Orleans, I was down low. He looked at me to be about the eyes of age. He spoke right out. He talked of his life, Lord, he talked of life. He laughed, he slapped his leg, and then he stepped. He said his name, Bojangles, and then he danced a lick across the cell. He grabbed his pants, prepared his stance, he jumped up high, licked his heel. He let go laugh, low let go laugh, threw back his clothes all around. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, and Mr. Bojangles, you come on. Dance for those at minstrel shows, at county fairs, throughout South. He spoke in tears of 15 years of dogging him, the traveled about. Till that dog up and died, the Lord, he up and he died. For 20 years he grieved. Well, now he dances every chance he gets at some honky tonks for drinks and tips. He says that most of the time, though, I spend behind these county bars, drinks and beer. He shook his head, he shook his head. I heard someone ask him, please. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, oh, I Mr. Bojangles, you come on, lay, oh, Lord, yeah, lay, yeah, Lord, yeah, come down. Little man Bojangles and dance for you. That's from Mara, Evangeline, and Angus. And all, and Lulu, too. All right, that's my Jerry Jeff Walker diversion. That was fun. I haven't seen him in a long time. None of us have seen each other for years and years. This one will take old Seamus back. Jerry Jeff sang this on an album. Garth Brooks sang it on an album, but didn't put it out. I'll tell you though, I'll say this as clear as a bell. If you've never seen Garth Brooks in concert, you're missing it. You're missing it. And I'll tell you this too. it's like a stadium full of all kinds of different people. All kinds of different people. No fights. You've got to go. And then this thing he's going to do in the winter, I'm not being funny. I know he's the most successful guy here, and we're over here on the outsider part of town or whatever, but I'm not being, what's the word? I'm not being shit. I'm saying that dude is the shit for my dough. And if you don't like it, I will fight you. I will fist fight you right behind the fucking Purple Building. And, you know, after this, I got to tape a thing for, what do we got? We got a lot to do after this, but I will fight you. I will fight you. Email down here. And, boy, this week's terrible. But, boy, I fight good. I know feng shui and every other fucking different kind of fuck. And then the anger over what happened to me in the war. Wait, that's Marchetti. My friend Mark Marchetti. Everybody loved his song. And he always says to me, keep an eye on the news, because one of these days, it's all coming back, Vietnam. And he says it's going to happen in the frozen food section of a store. No gunplay, but something. So keep your eyes on the news, because one of these nights, Mark Marchetti, frozen food section, something hilarious. Well, this is a kind of a kismet-y day, because didn't know how I ended up on Mark Marchetti, but before I got a record on Margaritaville, I got signed to a record company called, you remember the first one? It wasn't Capitol. They changed their name for a minute. Garth was on the label. This guy named Buzz Stone was going to have me be a singer. And at the time, I was too rock for country and too country for rock, and every year another dick tries that, you know. But they weren't sure if I should be country or rock, and then so we did. Here's what happened. They said, should this guy be country or rock? And they taped me doing both things and thought, neither, probably better. And they sent me packing, you know. They call it dropped. I didn't even make a record. I don't even have the tape of that record. We did some country music sessions. Rodney Crowell helped. And then we did some real serious rock drunk. Did you come up for any of those? Those got ugly. Piano. Who's our buddy that plays piano? Human Radio. Ross Rice was there. Anyway, I'll get around to this song. So we do this song. We do these sessions and get fired. Fucking fired. We didn't see it coming. And Marchetti drove me home in that old black car. And while he was driving, I made up. I wonder if if you're watching, you remember that? Also, everybody loved Prisoners of War, man. Jeez, you kidding me? I've been hearing about that all last week. So I'm sitting in his car, and he's smoking and driving, telling me I'm finished, and I'm like, yeah. No, he wasn't saying that. Till the other morning, I hang around in my house. Had that blue book with all those pictures of Madonna naked in it. You remember that book? Well, I was checking that shit out. Just found a friend of mine came through the door. Said she never paid me for the scumbag before. Said she didn't ever want to see me anymore. And I still don't know why. I think I'm no right guy. I think I'm no right guy. Just wanna live till I gotta die. I know I ain't perfect. God knows I try. I think I'm an alright guy. I think I'm alright. You know, maybe I'm dirty and maybe I've smoked a bit of dope in my time. Ain't like I went on TV and tore up a picture of the Pope like Sinead O'Connor did that time. Do you remember that time? I know I get wild, I know I get drunk. Ain't like I've got a bunch of bodies in my trunk. My old man used to call me ain't no good punk, and I still don't know why. I think I'm no right guy. I think I'm no right guy. I just won't live until I gotta die. I know I ain't perfect. God knows I try. I think I'm no right guy. I think I'm alright. I think I'm no right guy. I think I'm alright. Yeah. I know I was driving out of this bar. Cops pulled me over and they said, hey, old timer, we're gonna have to ask you to step out of that car. I was only kidding when I called them a couple of dicks. Still they made me do the stupid human tricks. Now I'm stuck in this jail with a bunch of dumb hicks, and I still don't know why. I think I'm an alright guy. I think I'm an alright guy. Think I'm alright, 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 think I'm alright. It's alright to have a good time. It's alright that it's alright. Boy, that's a fond memory, man. Yeah, we had just seen Steve Forbert, and he does a lot of this. So I was learning to do that. I'll tell you what, when I was singing that song, I just thought of something. Yesterday was Elizabeth Cook's birthday. That's my favorite singer and songwriter, poet extraordinaire. And I'll tell you this, she's got this new record that she made with this cat. I love this guy. I forget his name. What is it? Butch Walker. Yeah, he did Green Day and shit. Wait till you hear this thing Elizabeth did. It's amazing. If they don't give her a trophy for it, I'm gonna fist fight them. As soon as I get done with that fucking son of a bitch who was trying to remember that when I told that guy what was up, and he was like, oh. So I think the show's going real good. Okay, so now I want to do this song that the Hardworking Americans did. And I loved it. Dave wanted to do it because it only had a chord in it. That song has one chord in it. And I remember we were making a record called Viva Satellite in Memphis, and we were having such a good time. And this guy named Hans Hadelt was the boss, I guess you'd say. He'd come in every few weeks to see if we were making the hot beats for the street and shit. And I do it like that. Mm-hmm. And we went over to this place. They have a place in Memphis called the Cooper Young District. There's a great Mexican restaurant. What's it called? You remember? Cafe Olé. That's where I met Brewer in that place. And I'm gonna do this here, maybe. I'll just try this here and see if it works. But so I probably shouldn't have done this because that record, we had Viva Satellite done, and the guy from the label came and took us all out to lunch, and said that we were, like, what's that song? And they don't hear a single, or you need another song. And I didn't have one, but he was like, yeah, you guys need another song. And so we would kind of had margaritas and stuff at lunch, and he said, do you have one? And I said, yes, and I did not. And my brain was just racing. We had to walk back to this place called Ardent, and I don't know, I just kind of this like they call it freestyle or whatever, about midway through it, I realized you haven't changed the chords yet. But they took it and said it was a song. Satisfaction, guarantee. I want what you want from me. I want satisfaction, guarantee. I want what you want from me. No power tie, no power lunch. I tell no lies, I got a knockout punch. Channel surfing USA. I'm watching these hours roll. I may be throwing my time away, but at least I'm remotely in control. Satisfaction, 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 guaranteed. Indecision may or may not be my problem. I can't say. They said dollar bills will buy you nervous laughter. It's always too loud for me. Happily here ever after, Mr. You wait and see. Satisfaction, satisfaction, satisfaction guaranteed. Stand back, world, I'm standoffish. I've made my wish on a satellite dish. Viva satellite, viva satellite, satisfaction guaranteed. I want what you want from me. See, you only needed one chord. Could have played any chord, too. Doesn't matter which chord. Just pick one. And then you go to the other one for a second. You know, we were just talking about, I may be going too long today, but I'm having a lot of fun. And I really enjoy doing this on Sundays. I hope you're enjoying it, too. I've really gotten used to it. This one, well, I was going to tell you, we were talking about the Nervous Wrecks, me, Will Kimbrough, Joe McCleary, and Joe Marinchak. And then a little later the year I'm about to talk about, we added my brother. And a little later, we added a kid named Kevin Shackelford. And then at some point, Elvis just started riding. He wasn't, you know, and then, but anyway, back when it was just Seamus, the first and the craziest years, it was just Seamus and the four of us. And he was going to be our tour manager, And then, but we didn't know you needed your own sound man. And he was like, oh, they sound sucks every night. So one day, the sound guy, he's standing back by the soundboard as our tour manager, and somebody just says, are you their sound man? And he just light bulbed and went, why, yes, I am. And he went over to that board, and he started jacking around with it and learned to do it, learned under Buffett's guys. One of the, he does Leanne Rhymes now. One of the best soundmen in the business. I discovered him. Do you know who was there the night you did that? Beetle Bob. Was it St. Louis? No? Ish. Oh, it wasn't that. Do you remember the night Beetle Bob first came? Oh, yeah. Anyway. Oh, good times. Good times. Then we went to Midwest and learned to tack like that, Ted. But we'd been on the road for almost 4 years in a van. Once we were 7 straight months without a break. And we were being asked to do that, I think, close to that again. And I finally held out and said I wanted a bus. And only Seamus and I knew about the bus. And we were about to leave on tour, and we were all meeting at Seamus's, and we all get over there. We're having some beers, and we're supposed to head off into the night, I think, to Colorado. And everybody's ready to go, and I keep saying, no, fuck it, let's just have a couple more beers. And everyone's starting to get frustrated, and they're getting frustrated because Seamus has to drive. And so they're like, you're being a dick to Seamus. But Seamus knew, so he was like, it's fine, you guys, it's fine. And then at around midnight, outside the window, you hear that psss of the bus. We all ran out there like kids. And then got in a Sharpie fight. You were smoking your cigarettes on the airplane. I was waiting right there for you at your gate. You had to pull on the highway just to find a payphone. And when the line was busy, well, you just had to wait. A day after day goes by like nothing is ever gonna change. Just like overnight, it's like it's never gonna be the same. Hitting with your aim and fall, you're forgetting what you missed. All you seem to know for sure now is how you can't go on like this day after day. It's just like overnight, day after day. It's just like overnight. We've been killing our time here forever, since the way back before all of this so-called reality. Hell, I remember when you used to have to walk all the way over just to turn the channel on that goddamn TV. It seems like day after day going by like nothing ever gonna change. Just like overnight, it's like it'll never gonna be the same. Hitting what you're aiming for, you're forgetting what you missed. All you seem to fall short now is how you can't go on like this day after day. Just like overnight, day after day. It's just like overnight. Day after day goes by like nothing is ever gonna change. Just like overnight, it ain't never gonna be the same. Hitting what you're aiming for, you're forgetting what you missed. All you seem to know for sure now is how you can't go on like this day after day. It's just like overnight, day after day, just like overnight. You know, before I forget this thought, if you know Doug Lancia, tell him to call me, because I need to talk to him about the Purple Building. Also, tomorrow, we're going to do TRL, a show called TRL. I came up with it. It's a new program. We're hoping to, you'll see, tomorrow night, big program. You're going to love it. It's going to be just like the 80s. Remember Martha Quinn? Do you remember Downtown Julie Brown? You guys? Huh? Aimless television. We would like to, you'll see. Tune in tomorrow for some really terrific programming from Shithouse Television. And then I would like to send this out to my brother, Mike, and my sister Shannon, and my mom, and their kids. Well, my first day in Nashville, it didn't seem like much of one. I was drinking till I had fallen asleep out in the sun. I was working on this song that I guess I'm still working on. I call it Where Will I Go Now That I'm Gone. When that idea first came to me, I was only 22. By 25, I'd realized it was all that I could do to make it to the end, but then again I always knew if I never got it finished, I could die trying to. Last night I thought I had it right here in my hotel, but it faded out the further sleep that I fell. When I woke up this morning, I was more than twice my age, and I had left myself this note here on another empty page. Where will I go now that I'm gone? It said maybe you've been chasing this song too long. Hell, it's turned into a song about a song you're working on. It's gone, man, come on. Let it go. I can't do it. You know, giving up a dream, that's a lot like making one come true. It's easy to sit around and talk about, but it's harder to just go out there and do. But for this one last question, I would give up on this song. Where will I go now that I'm gone? That I'm gone, gone. Where will I go now? Look out, mama, I'm using technology. Ain't got time to make no apology. a world forgotten boy, one who's searching to destroy. Somebody better save my soul. Somebody better help me. Thank you for turning in to WFUNK weekend. We're going to be back and coming back at you like a herd of turtles every weekend until I come up with some kind of vaccine for this terrible, terrible Trump virus that's going around. Ooh, the yodeling stoner, Seacrest out. Speedball, way to highway, needle is broken, ain't no telling on gas. Highway dog plays Russian roulette in and out of the sun under the overpass. Oh, 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 oh. Turn every last word ever heard on each other over where everybody go. I know I think, therefore I am, because I am, oh, so I thought I was. When in Rome they say, shoot Roman candles that way. Nobody thinks you're crazy. Woo! Passing it back and forth like a 5th of July. I realize I can't tell you what to tell yourself. But if we're still alive, what you thought you wanted, well, you can't deny it, baby. We were something else. Oh, 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 my love. Why on earth they say only heaven knows? Return every last word ever heard on each other over where everybody goes. I know a thing before I am, because I am both who I thought I was. When in Rome they say shoot Roman candles that way, and nobody thinks you're crazy. We don't leave who we fell for, no. We leave who we just can't believe they've become. We don't leave who we marry, we leave who we just can't believe that they'll become. And I said leave it, I don't mind as much as getting left behind. Why on earth they say only heaven knows? Why we turn every last word ever heard on each other over where everybody goes. I know I think, therefore I am, because I am, oh, so I thought I was. When in Rome they say shoot Roman candles that way. Nobody thinks you're crazy.